All right, we are live. This is the ambassador, Coach Ashley. Man, this is live and unscripted, and I have actually, I'm gonna call him a friend. You know what I mean? Yeah, we go way back, Coach B. Man, I'm trying to think how far it was. He was in Texas.
Yeah.
Uh, Jeez, the Aztec.
Oh,
So I'm trying to go all the way back. I mean, I'm getting a little older now, but man, before we really get into it, I want you to give the people who don't know who you are, what I mean, a little background of who you are. Then we're gonna get into it. We're gonna reminisce a little bit, and then we're gonna just pull it on forward. So let the people know a little bit about your background, Coach B.
so Brashad Williams. First of all, let me tell you thank you, man. It's been a while. Like I said, we since we seen each other's faces. That's what world we both be going, everywhere. Um, First name is Brashad, last name Williams, known in the basketball world as Shad Williams. Was a nickname that I got in the sixth grade, and we'll get into that full circle when we
Okay.
at now, man. And the basketball world is small and amazing. But a little background on myself: played junior college basketball, played a year and a half at Southern Arizona University. From there transferred out, went back into the Texas area, played Houston, pretty much in the Houston local area. Um, Man, I just want to go ahead and fast forward to it, man. Like just like I know it's unscripted, but like kind of where to kind of start from, man. I just basketball just been a big part of my life, man, for a long, long time, man. And this is something that I can truly say that as a kid, man, I was one of those kids that didn't actually know that this is what I wanted to do. Uh,
Yeah.
I actually was involved in like I wanted to be a veterinarian. Uh,
Wow.
I wanted to do. I kind of played basketball, man, just because growing up as a military kid on a military base is just what we did. And I kind of follow suit with the old heads, as we call them, the OGs of the courts. So, kind of where I kind of grew up at learning to play the game of basketball. But like I said, man, basketball and this journey that I've been on, it wasn't anything that I ever said. As some kids say, hey, I want to get to the NBA. I want to play this. I want to play that. That never came out of my mouth as a kid. I just did it because all my friends, they were involved in sports, and that was the military lifestyle as a kid.
Man, it's interesting. I didn't know this about you, right? Because I too pretty much I left Memphis when I was 10. My mom joined the military, so went to Alaska, went to North Carolina. So I'm a military kid at the end of the day, right? So like you said, hooping, that's all we did, just nonstop with the old heads, always in the gym, just the YMCA, whatever they was called back then, just always hooping. And so the idea, even for myself, like I said, yeah, I love the game, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to the league. I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. It was just something that, like you said, as a military kid, you playing against everybody, all ages, nonstop, right? And so that's pretty dope to hear that we have a similar background, and not only just as growing up, but now as adults, right? So, like you said, I didn't think I was going to be a coach. That wasn't on my radar. None of that, let alone playing at a high level, and now getting to work training, coaching, actually being like an influencer, which all of those things, which is on your resume. And that was one of the cool things when we met. Man, I'm about to sit there and be like 19, you know what I mean? Well, it was, it was, so I started in 13. So yeah, 2013 is when I started my organization. So I'm gonna say 17, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yep, we met. And that's when I first saw your resume. Right. It was a situation, boom, we got connected because at that time I was expanding and building relationships and we got connected and it was an opening for China.
Yep.
Uh, and I got your resume. I'm looking, I'm like, yo, my man is like one of the best resumes I've seen so far. Shoot it off to China. And then boom, you're like, yo, I'm gone. You know what I mean? I'm on my way to China. And I was like, yo, this is like one of the stories that a lot of people don't even know. Like they know that I work with players, but you were my first coach that I had the opportunity to help get over to China. But like you said, your resume and even what you're doing now is on a whole nother level. It encourages me. You know what I mean? So how did you even get started down there where I understand the basketball piece, but get into the training and the coaching. Well, how did that all happen?
So training. So the training side of it came from, first of all, the training side came from it as I got injured.
Okay.
I tore my first ACL, and I trained myself back.
Wow.
And that's really where it came from. So my family is pretty much basketball dominant. But when that injury happened, of course, I was in my mid 20s when it first happened. Of course, we hard headed, don't want to go. So the training aspect came from me just kind of training myself back, understanding my body. When I found out, they do say certain people can come back for these injuries without surgery, depending on your body weight, how you move, how you take care of your body. And it was just
Okay.
one, and where that's where the training came from. That I started learning how to train myself and just kind of moving and doing things like that. And where I grew mostly into it is, man, I got to throw a name out there. I'm pretty sure everybody knows about Deja Kelly.
Yeah.
So Deja Kelly's mom, Teresa Nunn, we actually did our first year in semi-pro together in the
Okay.
ABL, the American Basketball League, where Jonathan Simmons was found out of. And her and I both were on the team out of San Antonio, which was the Texas Surge. And after, we kind of fell through the organization and whatnot, just through the whole league itself, um, Teresa just kind of came to me and said, "Hey, I love the way you carry yourself, blah, blah, this and that. I like to bring you on to my organization," which was the South Texas Hoyas, and was a big time, well known organization out of San Antonio. Of course, Deja Kelly, just declared for the WNBA, and from there, she actually trusted in me with her second top tier team, and just being in the gym with her, training the kids, working out from there, going from there, and that's kind of where my training kind of started from, and that's how I pretty much got into the AAU basketball world, and kind of grown apart. I think after that is after my stepfather passed away. After that, I kind of stepped away, and I kind of got into my own organization. And from when I built my own organization, that's when I kind of started doing the player development myself. Just kind of learning, and pretty much like I say, all of it was based off of just me moving with my own body. Being in the gym by, just me and nobody, and just imagining, just moving and going here. And that's just really where my training came from. And I didn't have anybody at first to teach me how to teach.
Wow.
It just, I started actually learning how to watch the game and knowing how to move and how to be here and understanding like certain things when it happens in the offensive set, understanding how defense is going to react. So it just probably pretty much came solely off of me just pretty much training myself. And that's just how I got into the player development. And then from there, it just kind of grew with having opportunities being around different top trainers.
Gotcha. No, I mean, I had to say, like, low key, when I got into it, because I'm also a trainer, right? Like you said, um, just innocent self taught, just really getting put in a situation where you're like, okay, somebody got to do it. There's limited resources, and the best way is to get in the grind yourself, to begin to understand and learn and push yourself. And so that's the thing where I go back and say 13 years ago, when I got into the business as a player, we work and we do things, but then that's a different animal too once you switch hats, right? When you now becoming a teacher and you're saying, okay, now I got to teach the next generation as a trainer and as a coach. Those are each roles are different, right? So, like you said, being able to transition and be self-taught really is almost honestly, yes, there's people that you, of course, you glean from and you go to classes and do things like that, but actually putting hands on and really understanding the game is a whole nother animal as well. And so what I've seen just so far, because I've been following you since we connected back then, just man, you have an endorsement deal or you work with Deuce, you know what I mean? So talk a little bit about that. Like I said, from being, as you say, a military kid, boom, you get injured, you hooping at a high level, you get injured, and then you got to recover. You got to pull yourself, as they say, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and begin to get back into the game. But in doing that, you have had, honestly, you have a lot of success. What I've seen, what I'm watching. So tell us a little bit about your Deuce.
So before we get to that, man, I do want
Okay.
to give you flowers. And because I this is something that I preach right now to a lot of people. Your character,
Yeah.
um, your character, how you carry yourself, and that was one thing that you actually praised me when you saw me on IG was how I posted, what I was doing, how
Yeah.
you told me. He's like, man, I love the way how you carry yourself. Been watching you, and I think that was around like midnight, midnight when you actually direct messaged me, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. You said,
Right.
and you sent a message out, hey, I got an opportunity in China. And nobody really knows actually how I ended up there. I've told people nonstop, having the opportunity going, and you were the one that seeked me out, sent my resume over, boom, you liked it, you sent it off where you did. And I don't think you knew this part. I think when I got the response back, I was actually on my way. I was in the school district, and
Okay.
I was working in the special ed department, and I was actually on my way to work I guess like maybe a week so later after you had sent it over, and it was about 6 in the morning, and I'm at a stoplight, and you know how we sit there, and of course we all know we be on our phones and stuff like that, and I'm at a stoplight, and I open up my phone and I see the email, and that's when the email came through from the organization over there. And man, Ashley, I actually got on the phone with my mom that very morning on the way to school, and I'm gonna say it like this: I got to be straight. I damn near almost cried.
Oh wow.
I was just shocked, because I wasn't expecting it, and so when the email came through, I just kind of was like, man, I was stunned, like man, like yo, they want to sit down, they want to have a meeting, they wanted this, wanted that. And man, I just really got emotional on that car ride. So, kudos to you and flowers to you, what I'm saying, just give me the
Oh
opportunity.
wow.
And from there, like I say, it was an amazing journey. And we'll get into that more, just the people that I met, and I have continuous relationships while I was over there and just how I grew over there. But the Deuce Brand organization, how that came about, shout out to our CEO Gary and Tom, and of course Phil Handy and all of them and the rest of the Deuce Brand family, Armando. But how that came about, there's an analytical app out there called Bology.
Okay.
Yeah, so Todd Young is the owner of Bology, and when he first started it, I was one of the first reps that worked along him. He brought me up to Austin. We sat down, did an interview, and he was like, "Hey man, I hear you want to go into basketball, back into basketball full time, and let's. This is where it starts at how you carry yourself." Was at a Spurs President's Day camp, and Chris Dow was another person that's real big with international basketball. He runs the basketball embassy. He
Okay.
corner with our CEO, not our CEO, but our head guy, Joe Clark, our VP of our basketball Spurs Sports Academy. And I'm over there doing what I'm doing, with our youth, and they kind of look and say, "Man, you see that guy over there?" He's like, "Yeah." He said, "That's Coach Shad." He was like, "Man, he's the next one up." And Chris was like, "Yeah." And Todd was like, "For real?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, I'm telling you," he said, "He's the next one up over there, man. That guy, yada whatever." I invited him out to my event that I did. He took a day away from pay from the
Oh wow.
come over to check it out after he invited us all out. And he came in and he invited us out to come check him out. And I actually took a day away from camp to go over. And so Todd came over to me and he was like, "Hey man, they were telling me about you. I'm starting an analytical app called Bology. I really like to bring you aboard. Come up to Austin. Let's have a meeting." Yada yada. We went through all that stuff, and we actually had opportunity with Drew Hanlon and
Okay.
Ryan Ruzicki, and they had reached out to me and Connor Jean, which they're big, social media guys with all the basketball training, especially Drew
Yeah.
Hanlon.
Yeah.
And hey man, do you think Bology would want to buy a sponsorship on the shirt? And then I was like, you know what, let me reach out to our CEO, Todd. I said, hey, man, opportunity to go out to San Diego, get in front of Drew Hanlon, different guys, Ryan Ruzicki and them. And it went from there. And he was like, yeah, we'll definitely buy a spot. And he was like, we'll ship out everything you need. So they flew me out to San Diego. We did the camp with Drew Hanlon, Ryan Ruzicki, Connor Jean. Gary and Tom happened to be there, the Deuce brand. And remember when they had the wristbands unseen, and
Okay.
they had came in to give Drew Hanlon his wristbands for unseen hours, or when he had started that little campaign. Well, there's an old picture that we have where I had a Bology shirt, and I presented the Bology shirt to Gary and Tom, and I'm in between them. And from there we chopped it up, and this is where it goes with the Aztecs. Well, once I got back to San Antonio, that's
Okay.
the Alamo City Aztecs. And from there, Ryan wanted to do wristbands. So we contacted Gary, and was talking about the wristbands. Like, hey, we want you guys to be our official wristband people. Of course, hey, we're gonna purchase them. This and that. So we ended up making Alamo City Aztec wristbands, and that's where the relationship grew. And
Okay.
people always feel like you got to get some type of free and this and that, but people realize we paid for those wristbands, and it's kind of like you bought into the company.
Right.
So then from there, man, the relationship kind of just grew from there, and then we actually went out to do like a little contract sign with Gary to say, hey, we're gonna go ahead and do official contract. You guys be our official wristband providers, this and this and that. We're doing that conversation at the Deuce Brand shop in San Diego, the headquarters. Gary and I, we just all sat down. We kind of broke bread. He told us how it got started with Kyrie when he went overseas and started from just these little watches. And
Wow.
he told us where it came from, and it was like a wristband with a watch in it in China, and he brought a lot back. And he said, if you look at the lockout during that year with Kyrie and him, Kyrie had it on.
Okay.
That's when Kyrie wanted the wristbands from there. But Gary was just straightforward. He was like, man, we like that or not just here for a reason, meaning that if Deuce Brand falls today, would you still be a part of us, or do you just want to be here to get help? Because
Okay.
I don't mind teaching you how to do X, Y, and Z, how to make a brand, how to do this, do that. The guy is very open, but he said, are you here for the long haul? And that's when it just kind of came from like, yo, I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
and fast forward, man, that's where that relationship built with us. And of course, with me being with the Spurs Sports Academy, this is where it just kind of flew in. The tree just kind of grew. We were getting ready to play the Lakers, and it's already gone by I think like 2 years that I've kind of been around the Deuce Spring organization and stuff like that. 2 years we're playing the Lakers, and we had an event going on in San Antonio that I had to go work. And so I text Gary and I say, hey, man, is there any way I can meet Phil to kind of sit with him? And Gary goes in the text me and says, Shad, you hadn't met Phil yet? I'm like, nah. Yeah. Gary put me and Phil in a group text. And he was like, Phil, this is Shad. He's a part of the Spurs Sports Academy with the Spurs organization. He's part of the Deuce Brand family. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And so Phil, everybody know Phil Handy, four-time NBA, trained Kobe, LeBron, all
Yep.
Kyrie, everybody. And Phil hits in the group text. He says, hey, man, I get on the court early to work out the players. I'll be in there at 4:15. I said, well, hey, we got an event that's going on. As soon as I'm done with the event, I'll be at the arena. So I got to the arena. I walk on the floor. He's down there working out the players, man. And we sat down, man. When I walked up, the dude hugged me. He was like family.
Wow.
I mean, that's just how he presented himself to me. And he was like, man, what's going on, family? And then from there, man, we sat down and we just chopped it up, man. And Phil kind of asked me, what was I trying to do, as far as like, work, NBA, all that, everything. And man, this is where really I just kind of sat back and I said, well, man, I'm just looking for somebody to give me the opportunity. And he stopped me right in there. And he said, nah, man, he said, not any opportunity. He said, because that can come every day. He said,
Okay.
but the right fit for you. And
Okay.
kind of resonated with me, and I just kind of sat back. And man, that's just where, outside of you being getting me the opportunity to go to China, coming back, that's just kind of where my journey just kind of resonated, just kind of grew from there, continuously, and man, and that's how pretty much the relationship with the Deuce Brand family came. And ever since then, man, it's just kind of been like we just been going and going. And like I said, I mean, the family is it's big. There's a core piece of people that travel and kind of train and do stuff. But man, it's one of those families where it's a lot of basketball knowledge within that family. Um, and it doesn't even have to be just basketball. A lot of times we just check in on each other, like what's the mental state from 1 to 10. I tell people that a lot of times, man, we don't even call and text each other to talk about basketball. It's just checking in. So
That's loud.
it's kind of like really a family, man, and that's why you see the Kyrie. Hey, we all
Yeah.
like. I mean,
Did I lose you? Or don't be. Let's see.
okay, my
There you go. There we go. You good.
unscripted. I had a phone call coming in, uh,
Oh, okay.
but
You good.
no, but yeah, man, I say that's where the Deuce Brand family just kind of came apart, man. And it's been a blessing, man, just to be around those guys for all these years, man. And just like I said, when we go and do the certain things we got to do, like the sweat camp, like just the 94 feet event, is like a family affair, man. We all just get together. We let each other know where we're going here, there, and we just kind of spread the world of Deuce, man. And like I said, I'll let you know further in. I got another big opportunity that's going to come about here, probably in not here, but it will be in the beginning of June. But it's just a worldwide connection, man. And that organization, man, being a part of that family has just been amazing.
Man, no, I have to go back to what you had mentioned for those who are watching. Like I say, we talk about character. All of this, you know what I mean, was based, like I said, now going back, and that is true, looking looking at your Instagram, meeting you, but then it's one of those two things too when you put your name on someone, right? Is that's the big thing, especially at the position that where we're at, where you just can't. Oh yeah, I'm a co-sign. I'm gonna do this and that. And so to watch your social media, talk to you, read your resume, do all of these things and say, okay, boom, and to hear your story and to watch where you at. Because like I said, it didn't just stop with me. Boom, you went over to China, and then Deuce. Everybody's watching. You know what I mean? They're okay. What's next? How you gonna carry yourself? How you conduct business? And I think that that's one of the big things I try to get players and coaches to understand, especially when you're talking about to come from minor league up into going pro and what it looks like to go through the channels and how you carry yourself. And so I think that that's one of the, like, just listening to your story alone. Because once again, where I'm watching and I'm still watching, and it goes to the where you at now. I look up now, you're the head coach of the Outlaws. You know what I mean? So it's like TBL, one of the top teams in your conference right now, and that's goes back to your character, your work ethics, your knowledge, just everything. How what I saw about you, what really caught my attention was like, okay, like he's really doing this. You know what I mean? Some people would just get caught up in, especially when I say the minor league, because I owned the team, I was a coach. It's like the movie, the ABA, like it's for real, and that's how it was. You got all these hats, and some people just happy with that, and then it's, oh, we're pro. No, there's really levels to this. You know what I mean? And so, and going talking about that, let's go into the Outlaws, because the TBL, because once again, you said the TBL is not the only league that you had a chance to coach in.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the different levels and where you at now.
Um. Well, while I was in China for the opportunity that I had, it they pretty much had me on a 3 month interview that I didn't even know about.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they when the contract came through, they were pretty much saying, hey, if you come over early at this time, we and work with the youth, we can transition you to here later on. So I went over, was training. I guess I was considered like the first American trainer for the Hoop Battle organization. And
Okay.
when I came in, I'm working with the kids, doing all that. Started going over to the facility, and I forgot one small thing. I'm gonna bring it up. Like I say, going over to the facility where the main Long Lions CBA team was out of, and from there they brought me in, started working with the junior CBA, and then after 2 3 months, I just kind of saw everything I was doing, not knowing that I was actually being interviewed while I was working. That's when the pro side came about. I was like, yo, we want to go ahead and bring you in on the CBA, player development, working out this and that. So they trusted me first with the junior CBA team, which our CBA team was in there as well, which we had
Oh,
Marcus, and I think is in Lebanon right now playing. He was a big time player at Georgia Tech. Then you got Kiefer Skites. Everybody know about Kiefer Skites. And I forgot our other guy we had. But I was around some top guys, and man, and with that opportunity, that's how I became very close with Larry Drew. Uh,
okay.
Larry Drew ended up coming over, and he actually took over our team, but COVID had brought us all back home. And so, see, I still talk to Larry Drew to this day, even when I was with the Spurs. When the Clippers fly in, I go
Yeah.
dinner with them. I can call him. He's on my resume now, man. I got a great relationship with him. And like I said, that's another thing about character, man. Like I never would have met, never would have been able to meet that man if I hadn't been in that opportunity in there. And that was in 2018-19. And like I said, when I'm back in San Antonio with the Spurs working, anytime they fly in, hey, we're communicating, or hey, coach, this job is coming up. You mind if I give you a call? No, man, go ahead.
Wow.
So from there, that was a different level. And a lot of people ask me about how the ball is over there at the pro level. It's very
Yeah.
high intense. You got to be a scorer. The structure of the coaches, how things are done, being in a different country. You know, I struggled for about 3 months being over there because I had my American ways to me. And I really had to learn to adapt. And being a military kid is what really helped me adapt because we're everywhere. You know, we don't
Yep.
be what type of kids we got in the classroom with us, and just that part. And then coming back, when I got back from there, I was at a high, man. I was at a high because I was going to get ready to be re-signed back over. And
Okay.
that's when COVID hit. Came back to the Spurs, working with our youth, and then everything just shut down. And man, I didn't know what I was gonna do because ball, I had kind of just left everything else that I was doing and just kind of dedicated to the basketball realm. And that's when I actually coached my first year of high school, which was at a private school in
Okay.
Living Rock Academy. Mind you, I had never coached in school, grade school, nothing, just AU. It's always been at a minor league pro level. Or
Right.
so Little Rock Academy in San Antonio. I coached there for the season, kind of was successful, changed the player development around with them and stuff, or development of the kids and things like that. Didn't really focus on the coaching, just focus on the player development. And
Smart.
people would know that, hey, if I got another pro opportunity, that I would take that. And they knew that with my resume and stuff like that. And during that time frame, that's when I transitioned over to the SEBA Pack, which was in Mexico, and that was actually my second head job at another higher level.
Okay.
Alamo City Aztecs when we had met. Um, Being over in Mexico, being at that level, that's where I'm starting to understand getting the ropes of myself, dealing with international players, American players, dealing with the player development side plus the coaching side, having to wear the many hats, being that person that have to watch out for my American guys is with me and stuff like that, understanding the business side of it. Like I said, did nothing wrong, got let go 2 weeks before playoff, and we're number one team in the region.
Oh,
So
wow.
had never been let go. So that was
Yeah.
to me, and it was kind of like, man, it kind of hit me hard. And when I first experienced that, that's when I backed up from coaching. I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this. I think I want to just stay on that player development side. Like
Right.
having to experience that. But like I said, that was the first time I actually experienced the business side of saying like, hey, we don't need you no more. We're gonna go ahead and go with our local coach. And what's crazy is I came back and I was still doing business with the owner.
Oh, wow.
He had brought me over. They do a big national AU tournament over there, and he was,
Yeah.
I want to bring you out. You be the guest person, blah blah this and that. And it's like, man, you still want to do business with me? But he let me know it wasn't personal. It's
It's
business.
business. Yes.
That's what I was shocked at because he was like, hey, I just don't want to do that side no more with the team. I want to stay to this. So I became where I was going back and forth as a guest out there doing player evaluations and stuff like that. And like I said, came back, and that's when I kind of been staying with the youth, working out with doing things like that, continue my player development, working with the higher level players, college, professional. And this opportunity, man, when it was presented to me, I kind of always go back and do the icebreaker for George Gervin's Strength in Motion Academy.
Okay.
It's been a blessing for the last 2 3 years. Mark Reed, he runs the team along with G Gerv Jr., his son in Switzerland. And they were like, man, we want you to do player evaluations. So I always kind of go in and sit down for the 3 days that they have this big time tournament, and I do their player evaluations, and they kind of do mock ups, put them on Twitter, and that's where the owner of Enid Outlaws, they were there with his prep team, and he kind of came up to me and was like, hey man, we kind of knew each other from the the NABL when we had the Aztecs because he had the team.
Okay. Yeah.
Same thing. He said, man, you guys were always professional. I've watched you. You always carried yourself the right way as a coach, just everything. And that's when he basically asked me, hey, we got opportunity for a head coach position. Do you know anybody? And I'm sitting there like, I don't want to coach no more. I'm in my mind, I'm saying,
Right.
I'm like, ah. So I kind of sat on it for, a few weeks, and I kept asking more questions. And I got a Rolodex of people that want to kind of climb the ladder in coaching and get involved. So something in my heart just said, man, it was asked for a reason. Like
Yep.
asking more information. Then I finally asked more information. He told me, that's when I told him, I said, man, I'm considering coaching. And he was like, man, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I said, I'm really considering coaching because I had just had the opportunity of being part of the future basketball operations of the NBA.
Okay.
That's a big thing. So I was actually in school with the NBA, the head of basketball operations out of New York. So
Oh
they
wow.
hard classes where you can actually go. You got to get pretty much send your resume in. They're people, David Booth, Marshall Forney, a lot of people. They're actually looking at your resume, looking at what you. And I think out of almost, don't put me in stone. I think about almost 78,000 or a good some X amount of thousand. Only 80 of us got into this cohort.
Wow.
I was part of the second cohort that they had already had, and it was player development. It was like I say, future basketball operations program, and they put you through everything in the NBA that you
Okay.
got to learn. And that's when I kind of just at the end of the program, they ask you, they say, well, hey, what department do you want to fall up under? Whether it be GM, you want to learn stuff here in the basketball ops or front office. And I was like player development. And now I have the opportunity that I'm actually in the NBA database up under player development
Oh wow.
NBA coach, kind of resume, and that's where that kind of fell into to where I kind of didn't want to coach because I was like, yo, I know my avenue, I know
Yep.
what I want to do, and I actually had the opportunity to have a one-on-one phone conversation with David Booth, which is the vice president of basketball basketball operations through the whole NBA, and one of my mentors, Marshall Forney. He just hit me and was like, "Hey man, you need to have a one-on-one with David Booth." And I was like, for what? He was need to. So I called David Booth. We set it up, and he was like, I said, well, man, I really don't know what this phone call is for. He said, no, this is where it starts. He said, this is where the relationship, just building it, talking. He said, man, you got an impressive resume. He said, man, the main thing is you've been on a journey. And
Yeah.
he said, we just got to find a door for you to open. He said, you've been on a journey. And that's one of the blessings, actually, that I can say that I've had a lot of people speak about it. Nick Nurse has actually seen my resume. He spoke highly of my resume. You
Yeah.
talk, I mean, like I said, being around Phil, our GM of the Spurs, same thing he said. Man, you got impressed. He told me, he said, man, you've done enough in the
Yeah.
player development world. You just got to find that door and that opportunity in that spot. Like I said, I've had the opportunities with the Grizzlies come about, like right before
Wow.
Enid, the Las Vegas Aces actually were looking for a player development. I almost had the opportunity to go that direction, but God sent me this way, and that was where I kind of felt like God was telling me to come this way to give other young guys opportunities that's never had opportunities to play somewhat type
Okay.
of professional basketball. And we actually have a few guys that are just now starting off with us as rookies. And I mean, it's had its up and downs, as we always know. You got
Right.
NBA, the G League, international, everywhere. But at the same time, it's been a blessing to kind of guide some of these young men and give them an opportunity here with this team. And like I said, I mean, we call ourselves dysfunctional, man, but like I say, we 9-2.
Okay.
Exhibition game at 9-2, but without the exhibition game, we 8-2. We took not a big loss, but we took a loss to the defending champs last night. That's only two losses. Uh,
Okay.
Play them again tomorrow, Saturday. Like I said, we're one of the two top teams in the conference, and I mean it's been a journey, man, and it's I love it, man. It's days where I'm drained, and that's that coaching side of it. But then that player development side, we get up at 10 o'clock in the morning for our workouts. I'm out there moving with the guys here, boom, and it's just that's what keeps you going. Seeing that positive side of the game where you're able to work them out and move and do this and do that, and that's what keeps me kind of energized for the next and the next. So
No, I mean, you just said something that had me just sitting here thinking. I'm like, player development and coaching. I mean, it's I'm doing the same thing, but I never. thought about it how until now, like you said, you're out there, you're able to put them through things, right? And then on the back end, X's and O's, putting a strategy together and saying, okay, now how do I fix it? Okay, we need to do this and that, and having a know-how. That's a different kind, you know what I mean? A different kind of coach and ability, which, you know what I mean? I guess for myself, uh, I feel like not to say trial and error, but not really because I had my own company. Right. So with the Admirals, it was one of those like, okay, all right, I got to figure this thing out. I got it. I got to make it happen. And I was blessed to be, I say, a decent scout, a recruiter. You know what I mean? Being able to pick good talent, put it together, and then, okay, how do you fix it? Right? You know? And so I think that that's the thing in looking at it as a whole and listening to you. Like I said, uh, your resume, sitting back watching you, you know, from Instagram, now hearing your story and just saying how it all started back, you know, when we first met, saw a resume, took that opportunity, all of these relationships, doors open, and it just kept flowing and it's continue to keep growing and you maximizing each opportunity, right? And not even like you said, even going down to the high school level, because that's one of the things I've been blessed to coach middle school, girls high school, boys high school, and each one of them are different levels. Pros, I done played against the CBA, Super League Russia, you know, and the Jamal Crawford, each one is different levels and you have to have a different understanding and a different know-how,
Yep.
right? And create different kind of relationships. And so this is I feel like one of the blessings for myself and to have a podcast and folks don't understand, like as you say, how long my, you know, really how many contacts you have when you have good character and a good relationship with people and you build it. And so for me to be able to, yo, B, get on with me, you know what I mean? And then folks who don't know and they listen to your resume and what it is and said, no, I really have like friends who are like top level pro who are working and they're just a phone call away if we want to make opportunities, things, you know, to happen for the next generation. And so I think that that's one of the just blessings for me when getting into it, just doing it all. Everybody who follow me, I'm like, it has nothing to do, it's not about me, it's for God. It's God's glory. He's given me the opportunity, and it's just a blessing to sit here and to hear your story and to continue to be encouraged as I'm continuing to keep going because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to call you and call Deuce and say, hey, I need to come over and talk to y'all and get in the family. You know what I mean? But it's just one of those things just to know that what God is doing in your life and how He's using you. You know what I mean? And that's encouraging, I'm sure, to a lot of folks that will see this, that know you, that are watching us. What is going to be next? I mean, okay, well, before what's next? Because your season, how long do you have left in the TBL?
Our last game is May 24th, and then playoffs start early June.
Okay.
So I do want to chime in and say this right now. Um, a lot of guys don't understand, like you said, how you character plays a big part, and I'm stressing that to my guys here.
Yeah.
And I told them this, you know, when we had those kumbaya talks, I said,
Right.
what I won't do is I won't allow to damage my character.
That part.
And when I first and I told them this in the meeting, I said, look, if I got to coach you on your personal life, I can't coach you on the court because
That's
because if I got to watch you over here for this, I can't coach you on the floor because you don't have that part under control.
that's true.
And these are things that some of these guys don't understand, and they don't understand that how you react, how you do things, and how people watch it. And I tell these guys, we just had this talk the other day, and it's an ongoing thing. And I'll tell you what I'm actually finna do. It's an ongoing thing where guys don't realize the people that I can make phone calls to that are history, Hall of Famers, all that. I didn't get that just because I got that because how I carried myself. And
Yes.
I'm honored that every time I introduce somebody to Phil turns and tell them, like, hey man, this guy Shad is good people right here. You know, and and it feels good because somebody is talking on me, you know, saying, hey,
Right.
good people. And those guys have opened me up to a lot of different other people that I never thought I even meet that are actually that are training some of the top guys like C. Hines, that's with the Timberwolves. He pretty much he trains Anthony Edwards player development.
Oh wow.
And guys sit in the room with Chris Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I sat in the office last summer, almost about 2.5 hours with Chris Johnson at his place. Just being around guys that people wish that they can actually be around. You know, having the vice president of basketball operations, David Booth, on my resume. Larry Drew. Having Neville Shad from Glory Road. That's I call him Grandpa. You know, he calls me grandson. He
That's crazy.
about my success. So it's kind of like I didn't get that just for, being me. It's character. So I have to carry myself to be able to carry their names the right way, because they'll say, hey man, we don't need you speaking on my name if you're gonna be acting out, doing this, doing that. And I'm just real big with guys like that, because I tell them, adding me to your resume, there's a lot that comes along with it. Because once I bring you around a circle, they understand like, hey, this might be somebody Shad is around, because no, Shad is around us. So
Right.
embrace you the same way we embrace them. We embrace him. And and it goes back to this. You didn't know I had my first kind of opportunity right before the China thing. I had my first opportunity with the Northern Arizona Nats Suns, which was G League team of the Phoenix Suns before they sold it and then got this new one back.
Okay.
Ty Ellis is a big time mentor of mine, and we were at a Spurs camp, and James Borrego was on our coaching staff, and that's when I went up to James Borrego and I said, Coach Borrego, I want to know how you got where you got in your career path. And James Borrego took that time before he went to Charlotte for the head job. He took that time right then and there to tell me the steps, how he got to the Spurs from San Diego State all the way on.
Okay.
Close friends. His cousin is Ty Ellis, and the basketball world is very small. And he calls me one day and he says, hey, man, my cousin is the head coach of the Suns G League team. I told him about you. He's actually in Houston right now with the USA G League team. He's going to give you a call. I'm standing outside with our principal during the summer, right before before school starts. We have our little meetings and stuff like that. And my phone rings and they say, it's Ty Ellis, boom, or whatever. And I go, hey, coach, I move to the side and say, man, I just want to talk to you and just kind of see about what are the steps to get where you need to go into coaching. Man, I had the honor to sit with James Borrego before he went over to the Charlotte Hornets. And he told me, the man stopped me right there on the phone. He said, you know what? The fact that you know how Borrego got his job and how his path was, he said, it lets me know you've actually sat down with him, had a conversation. Right then and there, he said, hey, man, you know what? We're having tryouts for the G League team. We want to invite you up. And went out to Scottsdale, Arizona, and went into the practice facility. I'm sitting there nervous, don't know what's going to go on. We flow in, all the players come in. They came over to me, man, and say, hey, man, just kind of walk around and greet the players, talk to them, get a feel for them. They gave me my shirts and all everything. I'm official. I got my G League sponsor. And that's when the combine started. Now it's tryouts. They're like, hey man, you go over here, you go over there. And I kind of looked at it as they gave me a team to coach. Like, you got to do this, do that. They give me an area I need to work over DHOs over here with the guys, put them through. Now I got guys coming to me asking me, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm thinking like, man, I'm like, but they see me in this gear, official
Yep.
coming up to me, hey sir, how you this and that. So man, basketball knowledge just clicks in. Now I'm coaching and I'm teaching. Lunchtime, I go upstairs. They're asking me, how do you think about this player, that player? And I'm thinking like, you asked me
Right.
to grade them? So I started helping them grade the players, boom, 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 whatever. We go back downstairs after lunchtime, let the guys know, hey, if your name is called, you remain. If not, after lunch, see you later. And I'm sitting in the huddle and I raised my hand. I said, Ty, you mind if I say something? He said, no, 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 no. Go ahead. After Luis Lemus, he was the GM at the time. I think he might be with um I forgot what's that new league with the kids and all that. I just went blank with it. But he's over there now. But anyways, he says, no, go ahead, coach. And I say, hey man, some of you guys are not taking shots that I can normally see that you actually take. I can see it in your body mechanics, how you moving, play your game. Let us see what you do. Don't
Right.
we think we don't want you to do. And so he kind of looked at me and he was like, man, good stuff, good stuff. And that was like my first opportunity where I had at that level. Ty Ellis brought me in there, and this is where it goes. Social media posts a photo, and I see the photo. We take a photo, me and Ty, and my god brother goes, "Man, that's Ty, man. He went to school with us." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, Ty went to school." I played at Southern Nazarene University, but Ty actually played, I think, a year or two before me, and
Okay.
graduated from there and went to his pro career. So I met his cousin when I transferred and left from Oklahoma City back into Texas area. He was a close friend of my cousin at Prairie View A&M University. So I'm sitting here around your cousin for almost 9, 10 years now after I left out of Oklahoma, and you give me contact not knowing that your cousin played 2 years before me
Wow.
too. So then that made the connection even closer. And when we found out we were even closer was his wife actually grew up with my cousin, went to
Wow.
basketball world. So he's been a
Goodness.
mentor of mine. He's now with the Las Vegas Aces. And right before I came up here, he was the one that said, "Hey, man, I want to give you a call and see if the Spurs organization would write a letter of recommendation for you. We have a player development position that might open up." And sure enough, man, I hit our GMs, everybody, and they were like, "Man, yeah." They was like, "Hey, do we got to send it to Becky or send it to here or there or straight to the?"
Wow.
So they ended up keeping a development coach, which was fine. But that's when I said I felt like God was telling me, "Man, come up here and coach.
Yeah.
There's another level that you got to go through." And it's been a major test because at this level, you got to deal with a lot of temperaments. And because I've been around the NBA and
Yeah.
know how players should act, I know how they should be treated. It's like they don't understand. It's like I came in with expectation of the NBA, and I want to teach you how
Yeah.
they're.
Yep.
And it's like you don't want that. And it's like, well, if you want to get to a certain level, you got to walk it. You know what I'm saying? It's not no fake it till you make it. You got,
Yes.
and that's what I'm trying to get them to understand that I walk with a presence of the NBA because that's where I thrive to continue to be at. I
Right.
say, well, I'm gonna fake it. No, my Instagram's got to be clean. My Facebook's got to be clean. The way I conduct myself, how I talk,
Yep.
that's how I talk to players. Relationships. How I do business. Don't leave business opened up and don't close it the right way. So a lot of that plays a major part that these guys don't really understand. And where I want to sum it up to is I really want to stay more so on the player development side, and that kind of came to fruition 2 days ago. The
Okay.
struggle that I see going on now, the lack of learning how to be a professional. It These guys need guidance to be a
Yeah.
and being a coach, you can't teach them because it's two separate entities. And right now, that's what I'm struggling with because I care so much about their character. I don't care about the basketball.
Right.
And understand, like I don't care about us winning right now. I love it that we're number two in the conference. I love that we were number one. But right now, I'm really looking at you and like I'm like, man, your character, man. You can't go nowhere acting like that. You can't go nowhere
That part.
hopping on the bench because you got subbed in or over
Yeah.
or just reacting. Like I told him the other day, it's not detrimental to the team, it's detrimental to you as an individual player because we all have another avenue that we can go into. So
Yep.
if I'm seen popping off and doing this and doing that, nobody's going to pick me up. So I just kind of really came into fruition the other day that like that's why I thrive where I want to be because I'm such more of a mentor that when I get the players in that one-on-one movement on the court, I'm able to talk to them in a certain type of capacity, be that lifter up. I can be the disciplined person, but I'm big now on character because I know how I got the opportunity. The same way I got the opportunity with you was because of my character. It had nothing to do with my talent. Like you said, you hadn't even known me.
Yeah. But nope.
You just saw how I carried myself, my resume, what I did on social, all that. And like I said, you took a risk on putting your name on me, and it's been going from there. So I'm real big, man, on just wanting to stay on that side of the game because that's just where it's most needed right now. That none of these guys or even young ladies will even make it to another level until they understand how important your character and how you carry yourself. That's how you remain somewhere. It's not about your athletic ability because I can look at you and go, man, you athletic, but do I want to deal with that?
Right. No, that's right. That right there is that's the show, right? And why I sit there and say that that's something I've been preaching like since I've been in the business. That's why I'm in the places that I'm in, right? I sit there and folks say, man, I'm from a little small town, Bremerton, Washington, Kitsap, nobody heard of it. But then they look at me and they be like, oh, you've been to China, Japan, Lithuania, Philippines, all of these places and coach all of these people and know all, have all these relationships like yourself. It's the character,
And
right?
and
And
I have a big backing in Mexico. You know, one of the biggest organizations over there, Tufa Tudo organization,
yeah,
out to do their biggest camps. And I've seen that whole country because of that. And that's how I got the pro job, was through the organization through Futuro with the youth camps, and then
yep,
got a coach, boom, whatever. But man, to add on that, the next step for me, which is crazy. Like I say, as a kid, I that I would have been seeing the world through the game of basketball. I only played basketball because all my friends did, and that's where I was. But I want to let you know, man, the next step for me that I've been blessed with is now to I'll be headed to Russia, man. Yeah,
what?
yeah. So
Congratulations.
all that's in the works. About 2 years
Oh,
ago, I just went and got my visa. They actually approved me for multiple entries. Um, this is where character goes in. Character goes in because I was seen doing something, player development, and a person reached out to an organization over there, and that organization reached out to me and said, "Hey, we saw your Instagram, yada, whatever this and that. We got opportunity to do a 5 city tour. Uh,
wow.
yeah, we want to bring you out for at least about 30 to 31 days, and we want to take you out, all expenses paid, plus paying
Wow.
5 city, just doing camps. So man, June, like or probably right around the second week of June, man, I'll be headed there until like July 9th or so. And
That's
they've already got the itinerary written out, all the cities that I'm be going into, and just kind of playing it out. So man, like you say, I tell these guys, man, I had a big talk with them the other night. If I wasn't doing my job, I would
yep.
get another job after.
Yep.
It would have stopped with me a long time ago. So you can't tell me I don't know what I'm doing. And I just had this speech with my guys the other night in the locker room. I can't be in this locker room and you tell me that I don't know what I'm doing. I
Right.
had a job every season. If I didn't, I wouldn't have a job. I said, if
Yep.
I'm doing now, this opportunity wouldn't have come up. So that's why I'm telling them, man, it's all about your character.
It is.
You can be talented. And like I told these guys in the meeting a few weeks ago, if you can't do this part, I won't back my name on you
No.
because I've worked too hard. Because what comes along with me is other names like your name
Yeah.
could be part of me, because you can sit back and say, hey man, I got that young man his first opportunity, which was a big time international opportunity that I never in my life would have thought I was going to China, and I was there for a whole year,
Yeah.
9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just character, man. And that's why I tell these guys, in order for you to continue this journey, you've got to conduct yourself in a certain way so people would put their name on you and brand you. I'm able to carry the Deuce brand logo because why?
Yep. Yep.
So the next step on that is the Spurs Sports Academy, just the Spurs organization logo. I'm able to have them make phone calls for me because
Right.
and I always,
Yep.
that's one of the most prestigious organizations out there.
That is.
That's up there.
Yeah. Right. Right.
That's why even with them, I leave. I come back in my position with the youth organization. I've been around our VPs. Our VP actually is very close to me now. Phil Cullens. He's our
Okay.
vice president of basketball operations. I have a great relation with Brian Wright, our GM. I mean, a lot of our VPs, man, is because like how I carry myself. I tell guys that, man, that organization will teach you the basketball world. It really will. And there's so many pieces that have come out of the Spurs organization. I'm just blessed to actually have that logo on my resume and being able to carry it to where when people see it, they're like, hey, man, we got to have him, because if he works anywhere within that organization,
Yep.
he's got to be okay. And every year I come back into my position. I come back into my position. They've never just shut that door on me. They're trying to find other avenues for me to grow in the organization and stuff like that. And even when it's just not them, when it's other NBA teams that I have an opportunity to reach out to and they want to bring me in, one of my bosses, there was a job to open with the Chicago Bulls. He used to work for the Bulls. He got on the phone and called the Bulls and said, "Hey man, I made it to the second interview process, and of course it wasn't my area that I really wanted to be in, but the fact that he called me and said, 'Hey, I'm gonna make a call to the Bulls tomorrow,' and he did it. So I mean, they're all willing to do whatever needs to be done because of character.
And like I said, once again, everybody, we're all putting our name on, you know what I mean, on that person, that stamp of approval. So that speaks highly because once again, when you say, okay, resume, who have I worked with? Who do I know? Who that? And say the next person see it because, like I was telling my wife, I said it's a small world, right? And when we say in a small world, at each level, you know what I mean? They're together. They know who to work with. We have ears on who not to work with, and all of this and that. And so, if you say, "Oh, you working with this? Oh, you good money then?" You know what I mean? Let me bring you in. Let me, see what's going on. And like you said, for you to go from China, Russia, Mexico, the NBA, the TV, that speaks. You constantly have a job. One of the things I used to tell my players. When I had my team, I mean, I still have it, but not like how I had it when, uh, when you was with the Aztec. Right now, I'm pretty much growing a whole kingdom. I got U program, international, all kind of things, right? Just trying to pour into my whole community. But one of the things I used to tell players is I will always have a job. I own the organization, right? So as a player, that's another thing too. You know how many players are looking for jobs?
Wow.
Players. You know what I mean? So they're constantly coming, and so it's saying, okay, your character, your product. At the end of the day, it's a business. One
Yeah,
thing that you said too, it's a business. It's nothing personal, but from a business, I got to make the best decision from a business standpoint. And if you giving me, if, your attitude, because you got to be a mentor
yeah.
as well for the community, for the kids, for the young folks, and I got to be able to sell the brand. And if I'm dealing with attitudes, I don't know if you're gonna be late or when you're gonna be here or what's going on next.
And it's
So
crazy to say that real quick. And I know our time on this the other day. I'm wearing a lot of hats,
right,
uniforms. I'm doing everything when I say that part. And we get ready to leave for the game. I'm actually in there in the facility cutting guys' hair. I kind of picked up, international. I had to learn
yeah, yeah,
barber, so he taught me how to cut my own hair when I'm going international. So I'm in there cutting guys' hair before game day. Just doing that due diligence of a mentor, or older guy that's in the facility where we live at with all these young men. And I lay down in my bed and I'm like, oh man, I gotta go get all the balls so we can load them up, to take them with us. So I actually laid down for like maybe 15 minutes, got up, came back in. Let me go ahead and get the uniforms, put them in there, this and this and that, put the balls outside. And then I'm like, yo, we all leaving at 3:45 so we can get to the facility, be there 2 hours early, warm up on the floor. I get outside in the vehicles, I'm loaded up, I'm texting in the player chat. I got guys saying time this, like give me this 5 minutes, whatnot, whatnot. And I'm sitting in the vehicle, and I'm sitting there
yep,
look on me. And I know one of our guys is looking at me like, man, Coach Shad mad again. I'm just like, no, all y'all have to do is grab tennis shoes.
yes,
I I've done everything and I'm on time.
yeah,
Got to do is just do that part for me. And that's where I go with telling them about having to coach you outside the floor. It takes away from me being able to coach you all
yep, yep,
the way to the game. My assistant coach is hearing me being stressed out because I'm like, yo, we got to get on time. We got to do this. We got to do that. When all I should have to just worry about is just coaching you.
yes,
Guys, like, it's the business side of it that you guys don't understand. Like, all you got to do is play basketball. And that's all I want them to do. Because I
right.
don't ask this, don't ask that. I'll take care of this, take care of that. Just play basketball. So, like you said, you have the opportunity to do one job. I got to do many. And I'm
That no, and that's true. I mean that's one of the things. I mean, I'm glad that we had this conversation. Of course, we're gonna have another one. Would you rush it? Because I'm one of those. Just continue to follow. You know what I mean? friends and colleagues' career and let people see where we're going, just to be encouragement, right? Because one of the things, like I said, and mentioning, then a coach wearing that hat, that's a different role. And being a player development, like you said, that really, as you broke it down, I'm like, yeah, it is right, because it's in a situation that I'm trying to teach you. I'm not trying. I'm going to teach you to be a professional. As a coach, no. You should be a professional, and I'm gonna treat you as such. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? As such, and if not, then this is business. It's not personal. As a development, a player development, let me help you to get there and keep your job. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry so much on the strategy and this, and that. Yes, I see the flaws, and let's fix it and do these things. But like I said, doing both, and especially liking yourself, TBL, and I'm not in no more leagues right now, but being in those positions where you are wearing a bunch of hats, that's stressful. You know what I mean? That's where you, at the end of the day, you like, look, and I got to, once it's all said and done, we ain't even made it to the game yet. Then I got to coach you through the games, whatever happened in the game, but then the outcome of the game, and then that's still how many games left in the season. You know what I mean? So
I think, like I said before we end, the thing that I struggle the most with is because I care so much and they don't see.
yes,
When I say I care how you act as a person and what happens after this.
yeah,
Not right now. And that's the part that I struggle and I fight with, because it's like, yeah, we won, but look how you act.
right.
Look how you respond to somebody. Look how you,
Yeah.
and it's like, I want you to go further. I want you to keep growing, because the ball's gonna stop, and that's what I keep telling them. When that ball
Yes.
stops, you got which avenue to go. And I knew when the ball stopped for me. Like I say, I just talked to Teresa a few days ago, and I congratulate on Deja committing to the WNBA. I told that woman thank you, because you saw how I carried myself in the ABL, and I didn't even know you. And then when that fell through, you brought me over to the AU circuit. I had never, I mean, I had been in the AU circuit in Houston or whatever, but when I got there, I was just kind of lost in San Antonio, because it's where my family was from. And so I was like, I'm gonna move back to San Antonio. And she put me in the avenue, and it just kind of just went from there. And it was based off of how she saw me carry myself and how I acted. And
Yeah.
now my daughter, one of the top girls in the country, you know so
Oh,
it goes all back to character. In order to continue this journey, character, man. And like I say, it's been a blessing. The main thing is, it's been a blessing for everybody just to say, every time they look at my resume, and that's what I've carried myself, is that you've been on a journey, man. You got a journey. You got a journey.
yeah.
Now I understand that. And everybody always asks me, what's the end goal? And a lot of people think the end goal is this.
Yeah.
Not. The end goal is to continue to have something to do in this industry. And that's where Phil has kind of helped me along the way, is because
Yeah.
even him being out of the NBA, look at how well he is with the youth.
Yeah.
And that's his main thing. Like he said, he loves to pour into it. And now I understand that I no longer chase success. And when I say I no longer chase success, I just allow my path to go. And
I
like I said,
like it.
all I knew, I was coming here for this season. And then after that season, I don't know. And then since I've been here now, it's like, okay, Russia call.
Right.
That we figured out from there. So, man, it's just been a blessing and a journey, man. Like I said, I'm thankful that you gave me the opportunity to first start it off, go to my biggest international place. Like I said, everybody always asks me, man, what's your best place you been? And I've been in all different. I've been to Colombia, Cuba, Ecuador. I mean, everywhere. And I tell people, man, China, man, like it was amazing, man. And what I wanted to get to, and we can end it from there, is my GM of the team that I was with, the Long Lions.
Yeah.
We were in summer league this year, and the Deuce Brand family, we had a private party at the I think it's a Cosmopolitan Hotel. And I get into the party, and we got some of the NBA guys there with the clothes and everything. And I get up there, and I just got done with the NBA doing some little party thing that we had for the basketball operations program. And I go up there to our party, and I walk in, and I'm standing there, and I see this Asian dude, and I turn, Gary, our CEO. This is basketball world, how small it is. Like I say, I turn, I go, Jason, and he goes, Shad. Our CEO, Deuce Brand, Gary, go, Shad, Jason. I said, yo, this was my boss in the CBA.
Wow.
I said, man, I hadn't I hadn't seen this dude since 2019 when COVID hit. And now we're at Summer League, and Gary was like, yeah, man, we doing business with them. So
Wow.
basketball,
Yep.
and I just talked to Jay the other day about trying to get a player over there. Like I said, that relationship's still there. You know, I talked to them back and forth, and I told them about a player that I got now that might have a possibility of having an opportunity to go play wild ball over there, and that came from that with you.
Yeah, wild ball. Yes, that wild ball. Yes. Wow. Like I said, the small world relationships is everything. You know, your character and the relationships, and that's what one of the things I say, my focal point is really building good relationships, doing good business goes back to having good character. You know what I mean? And with that, that allows, like you said, those phone calls. That's the first thing I get those messages all the time. Hey, you got a player? You got this and that? Now I'm like, okay, let me go down my Rolodex or coaches. Hey, y'all got somebody, boom, boom. And so for those who are watching, that's really how the business works.
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's as they say, it's not just about who you know, who knows you and the kind of impression you leave on them. You know what I mean? If you leave the right impression, that's an easy call. If you fit what they're looking for, we can make some calls. And I don't know that person, he may know, you know what I mean? Somebody's going to know somebody who's looking. And that's at every position. That's not just as a player, that goes to coaching, GM, the job, the whole family, and the business, the industry as a whole. So, man, this was, I guarantee you're going to be one of the best interviews or podcasts, hands down. I definitely got to make sure it's on the radio. For those who are watching this, definitely on all the major platforms. Let's say iHeart, Apple, all of that. So tap into Blazing 40. That's the company that I partner with that has blessed me to be on all platforms and also putting the podcast on radio as well. So I am gonna get back with you, Shad. You gotta after you come from Russia, we're gonna just stay in touch regardless. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I thank you for taking the time because I know you gotta work. Uh, you had a game, and you're like, man, let me make it work. And you're like, man, I got practice, I got that. So that once again, that speaks highly of the type of man that you are, that you make time, you know what I mean, despite what's going on. And I just say thank you for rocking with me, trusting me, and still showing love and being a blessing to not just say myself, to everybody that has been in your circle and that you put your hands on. So continue to do the amazing work that you're doing, my brother. And like I said, much respect to you.
And I would like I say, I'm gonna give you your flowers one more time, man. Like I say, you one of the ones that first stamped his name on me and said, hey man, I wanna take you on the journey, man. And that's where it's been, man. It's been a journey. Like I said, I was blessed to have that after the Aztecs for you even just to reach out. Like I said, I'm gonna carry that story forever. 1 o'clock a.m. in the morning, I'm on direct message come on my Instagram, and I'm like, and you first thing on it, do basketball resume, and we'll get into that later. Guys got to have a basketball resume.
That part, yep. See, we gonna have to do another one. We gonna have to do another one because, like I said, you're a well of information. You know what I mean, of knowledge. Because, like I said, basketball resume. If you wouldn't have had that resume, it was no way I could have been able to pass you on because they hit me. Hey, I need a resume. I'm like, boom, and that's when I saw your resume. I'm like, oh, oh. You know what I mean? Let me watch. I have already been watching. I have spoken to you. I see your resume. All right, put my name, let's go and just see what happens. So, like you said, resume, character, it's so many things in the business. Players have to understand the business. A lot of times the players don't understand the business. It's just about putting the ball in the hoop. But there's the business part of it. You know what I mean?
And I
So
shout out, she knows who she is. She done a hell of a job on my resume, and I'm very proud of the resume. That person know who they are. Thankful they helped me with that, and it's amazing every time people look at it.
it is. It's I'm like, I'm gonna have to send. tap into your work. Hey, I need to get my resume done again because your resume, like I said, it's amazing. So let you get your dinner. I done got you out here. It's almost 11 midnight or something like that. But man, thank you. Thank everybody for tapping in with us. Like I said, it's gonna be on the YouTube. It's on LinkedIn and also Facebook. You subscribe, Street Ball to Pro. That's our our Street Ball YouTube page, and it will be on all major platforms. And like I said, this is not the last time you will see my brother. You know, what I mean, Coach B. We will be continue to keep in touch. Check out the Outlaws. Follow them. You know what I mean. Follow the rest of the season. And man, you got anything before you want to go, or before we go, B?
Man, this is one thing that I preach, man. I want all players out there, male or female, and something you can take on through life, either way, outside of sports. Hey, man, ego, purpose, purpose, ego. And a lot of people don't realize that, man. You got to understand the purpose. Sometimes you got to put your ego to the side and put the purpose in front. So I tell a lot of my
Good.
players, man, when it comes to the sports world, any type of team, entity, or whatnot, it's got to be There's no such thing as ego, purpose. It's purpose, ego. So,
That's good. That is good. Hey, we tapping out with that. This was live and unscripted. I'm the ambassador, my man, Coach B.
and appreciate.
Purpose. You say purpose before ego.
Yes, sir.
We love y'all. Thank y'all. All right, B. I'm gonna tap in with you later.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.